Check.
Oh, shit.
I'm the smartest motherfucker alive!
So that's okay.
All right. Welcome, everybody, to episode 94 of 1 Million of the Serial Chillers podcast from the Super Network studio. I am here with Hella Greg. He is in the Super Network bunker, 66.6 feet directly below us. I ask you, how goes it, Hella Greg?
It goes well. I do good.
You look smiley.
Thanks.
Yeah, no, that was a compliment. You look like you're...
It's bright in here. That's why.
I'm actually just squinting.
I'm squinting and it's pulling up the sides of my face.
It's what you humans call... I mean, it's what some people would call a smile. Okay, so don't forget to follow the show anywhere you guys can or would like to. Facebook, Instagram, and the Facebook group and the Gmail are all Serial Chillers Podcast. The Twitter is at Chillers Podcast. You can call or text the show at 1-805-666-2513. SerialChillersPodcast.threadless.com for t-shirts and other dumb shit. SerialChillersPodcast.com for stickers. Rate and review on everything if you would. Help nix out some of those 1 stars. And Patreon.com/Serial Chillers Podcast for anybody who wants to support us. As little as $1 a month. And if you give $5 a month, you will not only receive the sticker pack, the shout out on the show, but you'll also get the new video podcast by Hella Greg, Hella Conspiracy, starting in season 5.
Yes.
So yeah, sometime like August or maybe very early September, season 5 will be rolling in, and new show from Hella Greg, and you'll get to see his face in the bunker quite often in high def.
Don't we all want to see that?
Yeah, I know. It's rough. We might have to censor some of it.
Just make sure you don't forget to wear pants.
Yeah, I figured that out. This camera, I turned it on and I was like, holy shit, I can see my shorts. And then I was like, well, at least I'm wearing shorts.
We're halfway to win here.
Yeah.
Okay, so also don't forget to check out the other shows on the network here, Super Simpsons Show and the Death & Co. podcast. Speaking of Death & Co. podcast, they've returned. You guys haven't always been here as Death & Co. podcast, but you've been here with 4th time together now. Welcome back, Brie and Lindsay.
Hi.
Hey.
Willkommen, I believe they say. Also, you love him or you hate him. He's like the New York Yankees of the Serial Chillers podcast.
Really, the Yankees?
Well, because they're the most either loved or hated.
I thought it was...
You don't win a lot, though.
Tommy Boy reference. Hey, Casey, what's your favorite baseball team?
Yankees.
All right. Hey,
Dinner.
I know you hate them as much as I do, but Luis Gonzalez did hit a bloop single in the 2001 World Series to beat the New York Yankees for the Arizona Diamondbacks' only World Series victory.
This is true.
Okay, so, I mean, I'm there with you.
All right.
I'm a Red Sox fan, for fuck's
All
sake.
right.
You either love
sorry
them or you hate
for the violence that was bestowed upon your savior, Mr. Ortiz.
I'm just glad he's okay. Puppy strong. Welcome, Bigfoot. We're obviously very fucking glad to have you.
Why, thanks.
Yeah, it's very, very good.
So
Hold on.
warm and fuzzy.
It's been a while. Sorry.
It's a warm and fuzzy place that we hang out in.
That just makes so much sense.
I fully
The
believe-
logic,
What the fuck
the
was
logic
that?
in that
Bigfoot?
argument is sound.
Here's the thing, is that you've just got a question here, and I would like to let you field it because you just got 2 unaware people. Let me run it back for them one more time because everybody's gonna love this. They'd like to know what they just heard.
I was right.
Do you have an intro?
Yeah.
Bigfoot.
Well, you
Oh,
should
yeah, he's
should
got it.
listen. Actually, just go home and Google samurai chatter, and it is Bigfoot speaking.
I'm probably not going to do that.
All right.
but-
It's the only
You
new
absolutely
recording.
should, because the words of his people are
First
it's
of all,
like
you
the
guys
word
are all
angry.
racist.
There could be a time traveling Jesus Bigfoot, and you're just going to deny its existence like this. I know somebody that I need to show you his Facebook page. It's crazy. He believes in like the time traveling Facebook or the time traveling Bigfoot Jesus.
That's amazing.
It's a real thing, dude.
Like, don't fucking mock me to other people. It's fucking hard, man.
Okay, so we got heavy hitters here is what I'm saying. You guys all welcome back. I believe everybody's got a victory in their pocket at least at some point here. So we can call this at least like we've got some names, you guys.
Might be competition.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. All right, you guys know how the show works. Let me explain it for anybody that doesn't. Each week, I sit down with old friends, new friends, good friends, and bad friends to tell them the story of an infamous serial killer throughout the show. You guys can chime in on my story, and if you brought a story of your own that is true crime, dark, creepy, unsolved, or otherwise mysterious, please feel free to share it. Hello, Greg has brought a story today. Lastly, if you have questions about questions, make sure to ask questions because I cannot answer questions about questions if you never ask questions. Are there any questions?
How many times do you say the word questions in that segment?
Guess.
7.
7.
It's 7.
Damn it. Weird.
Fuck
I was
yeah,
gonna say
dude.
for 250 points, but they guessed it, so never mind.
Yeah.
You could just give it to us.
Nope.
We're
Yeah.
in sync.
We are.
Greg doesn't count my points. I do. All right. So, then welcome to and let's play the Serial Chillers podcast. Today's killers are Lee Boyd Malvo and John Muhammad.
Nope.
Sounds like an interesting duo.
Oh, I know.
Don't say anything. If
I was gonna say it.
There might be a question about it.
Ooh.
Question number 1. In what year was Lee Boyd Malvo born? Got questions behind you now, Casey. Look at that. That's real shit, dude.
Ooh.
Yay!
So professional.
There's
They're
a picture of New
super
York. There's a
high-tech.
picture of New York.
There's a big, fat, crazy picture of New York. Freestyling.
That's what that made me think of when you turned around and went, ooh.
Sometimes when I freestyle, I lose confidence. I fucking love them, dude. All right, Bigfoot says 19. Is that 87?
9.
89. Lindsay says 1946. Bree said 1952. Bigfoot is going to get 250 points because Lee Boyd Malvo was born February 18th, 1995.
What
Oh,
the
it was
fuck?
95.
95.
I'm sorry, incorrect. I am incorrect. 1985.
Oh, okay.
Yes, 85.
85.
Only 90s kids will get this.
I was 87.
Yeah, 85.
No, I was
I
89.
apologize.
You guys are 87.
85 is my year.
Yeah?
It's like this is probably like I have some like spiritual connection to this person. Because they were born in the.
That makes perfect sense.
Maybe you were a victim.
No, I definitely wasn't because I'm still here. So
No, I meant like in a past life.
no.
That's
Definitely I
not how it works.
was.
Come on, we were all
This is
just
the
on the same
original.
heaven episode together.
No, the only past life I remember is when I was an Egyptian princess.
Cleopatra in the room, everybody. Okay, we're going to cut quickly to question number 2. In what year was John Muhammad born? John Muhammad is a guy whose last name is Muhammad. If that's a clue to anybody.
You sounded like fucking Heard Hapley.
We always do that.
Okay, so
weird.
Lindsay and Bree both guessed 1973. Bigfoot guessed 1964. John Muhammad was born John Allen Williams in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, to Ernest and Eva Williams on New Year's Eve, 1960. Bigfoot's going to get additional 250
Damn it.
points there.
Shouldn't have fucking asked you to be on this episode.
I hate cursive and I hate all of you.
There are 17 questions tonight, so obviously we're gonna have to break it up a little bit because we're talking about 2 people here that will eventually become a team. Are you guys aware of them yet? I think Bigfoot it knows who they are. This happened I mean, obviously you're going to get caught up into it, but this happened in a time where like we could have a decent memory of it. A lot of the shit we do is like happened in the 70s or whatever. So
I remember it.
I too remember it. My dad followed it very closely.
Yeah, I remember watching it on the news and everything. It was. Yeah, I remember being like, "Wow, this is actually happening real time."
Doesn't ring any bells. Yeah.
I remember
It
Sinbad
might.
being a genie. So
Lindsay's
No,
from another-
you don't.
Okay.
I do.
So John
No, I
Muhammad
don't.
was
Shaq.
It was Shaq.
Shaq.
John Muhammad was born John Allen Williams in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, to Ernest and Eva Williams. He and his family moved to Nolens when his mother was diagnosed with breast cancer. She died when he was 3 years old. After his mother's death, his father would leave the family as well. Williams was mainly raised by his maternal grandmother and an aunt. In August of 1978, Muhammad enlisted in the military. Question number 3. What branch of the military?
I never get this one right.
Haven't used that in a while. All right, Lindsay says Navy, Marines for Bigfoot, Navy for Bree. You guys can guess things that are different. But he actually joined the Louisiana Army National Guard.
that was a trick question.
All right. Well, he joined the Louisiana Army National Guard in Baton Rouge as a combat engineer. Muhammad transferred to the regular army in November 6, 1985, and Muhammad's first tour was the 15th Engineer Battalion in Fort Lewis in the same year. I'm going to give you guys some military accomplishments here, pretty much, just to kind of set up the person we're dealing with. Kind of did this with Russell Williams. It's a little boring, and I'm sorry, but it feels
Okay.
very important to the story to me.
Clarify though, which one are we talking about?
This is Muhammad. So this
The
is the
older
older
guy.
of the two.
Okay.
He's still technically John Williams at this point, which why would you change that? He's one of the greatest score writers of all time. He literally wrote, dun, 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 and he wrote the fucking Star Wars theme.
Yeah, I was gonna say
he did
the theme for
Jurassic
Star
Park,
Trek.
right?
Yep.
This actual guy.
No, John Williams, but
No.
it's still a fucking name you'd like
Oh,
to share,
they're
at
the
least
same
in
name.
my opinion. This guy did not do that. No. Okay, so yes, he went to the regular army. In 1991, he served in the Gulf War with a company that dismantled Iraqi chemical warfare rockets. In 1992, he was at Fort Ord, California, in the 13th Engineers, and in 93, back at Fort Lewis in the 14th Engineer Battalion. These are not like grunt divisions, I don't believe. Like he's in some like higher. I don't know a lot.
It
about
sounds
the
important
military.
anyways.
I just like that you said he's back in the regular army, so you were acknowledging that
Well,
the
the
National Guard.
the National Guard is a reserve army. Yes, the regular army is in the full-time army because he was done with the reserves and the
God
National
called him to
Guard.
the show.
Okay, so while in the U.S. Army, Muhammad was trained as a mechanic, truck driver, and specialist metal worker. He qualified with the Army's standard rifle, the M16, earning the Expert Rifleman's badge. Greg can mute himself, though. This rating is the Army's highest of 3 levels of basic rifle marksmanship for a soldier. You guys, they're not that funny.
Oh my god.
Muhammad served in an engineer unit during the 91 Gulf War. He also received the Southwest Asia Service Medal for the Kuwait Liberation Medal. Oh, sorry, the Southwest Asia Service Medal, the Kuwait Liberation Medal for service in Saudi Arabia, and the Kuwait Liberation Medal for service in Kuwait. He was honorably discharged from the Army on April 24th, 1994, after 17 years of service with the rank of sergeant. For his service in the Army, Muhammad received the following awards: the Army Service Medal, the National Defense Service Medal, Overseas Ribbon, Non-Commissioned Officers, Professionals Development Ribbon, and Army Achievement Medal. So, like, this guy was... Most of the guys we talk about, you just do that loud. You do it however you need. Just get that. Yeah, there you go. Most of the guys we talk about are getting dishonorably discharged, or like they're honorably discharged, but they're like, well, it's just because it's easier and it takes less paperwork. Like, get them the fuck out of here. John Muhammad had a very successful military career. After he leaves the military, some things change in him. Question number 4. He's going to join another group. It's not a military. This one's multiple choice as well. After leaving the Army, John Muhammad would join another group. Which was it? Is it A, the 5% Nation, B, the Black Panther Party, C, the Nation of Islam, or D, the Illuminati?
You just did that because it's commercial.
It's like when you're like have one of those teachers that like wants to help you, so they give you the ridiculous answer on one of the questions.
I always answered it.
Okay, everybody says the Nation of Islam, and everybody's going to get 250 points. Because, yes, he did indeed join the Nation of Islam. In 1987, at the age of 27, John joined the Nation of Islam. As a member of the Nation of Islam, Muhammad helped provide security for the Million Man March in 1995, and the Nation of Islam leader, Louis Farrakhan, publicly distanced himself from Muhammad and the organization from all of Muhammad after his eventual crimes. So they were like, we don't... That guy, he was like barely in the group. Like sometimes we let him come by and hang out, but like other than that,
We let him look
Damn,
through
dog.
like the window.
If Louis Farrakhan doesn't want anything to do with you, you know you must not be a good dude.
it's nothing to do with him. So Muhammad would kidnap his children and took them to Antigua in around 1999, apparently engaging in credit card and immigration document fraud the entire time. That's how he was getting through.
Not for a family vacation.
No. Well, to him, maybe that was his idea of a vacay. It was during this time that he became close with Lee Boyd Malvo, who would eventually become his partner in crime. Williams changed his name to John Allen Muhammad on October 2001. After his eventual arrest, authorities also claimed that Muhammad admitted that he admired and modeled himself after Osama bin Laden and Al-Qaeda and approved of the September 11th attacks. Malvo testified that Muhammad had indoctrinated him into believing that the proceeds of a later extortion attempt would be used to establish a camp where homeless children would be trained as terrorists.
So wait, this guy's original last name is Williams, right?
Changed
Is this a white guy?
These are both black men.
Oh, okay.
Yes, these are both. He
But born in the United States.
Lee Boyd Malvo was not. He met him in Antigua, but yes, John Williams was born in Louisiana.
Louisiana.
I apologize. Baton Rouge. Foosball's the devil.
Yeah.
So he essentially Malvo says later that like the extortion. This is all an extortion attempt to establish a camp where homeless children would be trained as terrorists. Question number fucking 5. Where was this camp said to be located? Was it A, the United States, B, Canada, C, Mexico, or D, Afghanistan? Where are they going to fucking train these terrorist kids, these homeless terrorist kids? So this one, Bree said was located in Afghanistan. Lindsay said it was located in the U.S. of A. And Casey said that it was in Canada, his favorite place. This camp was located in Canada. Casey's going to get 250 more points to put him at 1,000 to everybody else's 250. Plenty of time, guys. 17 questions. What are you worried about?
Was it funded by the Canadian Air Force?
No. Attempted extortion. We'll get to it later. Muhammad was twice divorced. His second ex-wife, Mildred Muhammad, sought and was granted a restraining order from him. Muhammad was arrested on federal charges of violating the restraining order by possessing a weapon. Under federal law, those with restraining orders are prohibited from purchasing or possessing guns, as per the Lautenberg Amendment to the Gun Control Act of 1968.
Terrible.
Well, Greg, what?
I'm laughing at this guy shaking his head. No, that shouldn't be. Everybody should have the right to do. Easy there, you extra libertarian.
Extra.
Everybody should be able to do drugs and have guns, and the whole system will sort itself over time.
Amen.
I mean, you're not wrong, but for the safety of other people.
Moving on. Lee Boyd Malvo was born February 18th, 1985. His mother, Una James, left his father, Leslie Malvo, in 1990, and took Lee when she... His mother, Una James, left his father, Leslie Malvo, in 1990 when Lee was 5 years old. James and Malvo moved to the hill town of Endeavor, Jamaica, to be with her sister, Marie Lawrence, for almost a year. They then moved back to Kingston and later to San Martin. When Malvo was 9 years old, he was sent to live with his Aunt Marie and stayed for nearly a year then. In the 6th grade, Malvo took an entrance exam to get into middle school. Question motherfucking number 6. was the result of this entrance exam? Oh, yeah, I forgot to give you guys that for the answer last time. He was held back that year. He did better than expected, but nothing crazy. He was skipped ahead 2 grades, or he was moved to a class for students with learning disabilities. What happened?
What was
to him
the
when he
test
took
for?
This is like an entrance exam.
For what?
To get him like into middle or high school. Like he's coming out of 6th grade. So you take an entrance exam to see what classes he's going to take.
Which guy was this?
names?
This is Lee Malvo. Una James was actually the mother, and Leslie Malvo was the dad.
So all of his problems stem from the fact that both of his parents had female names.
It could. Yeah.
I don't know, dude. A boy named Sue was pretty tough.
My name is Sue. How do you do? Now you're gonna die.
But did he actually ever kill anybody?
He bit off a piece of his dad's ear.
And I bit off a piece of his ear.
That's where Tyson got it from.
Okay. Bree says he was placed into a class of learning disabilities. Casey said he was skipped ahead 2 grades. Lindsay says that he did better than expected, but nothing crazy. Bigfoot going to get 250 more
God
points
damn
because
it.
he did so well on this test.
Hey, God has nothing to do with this.
God damn him.
Actually, I have thoughts on that.
But he does like
Show
the
for
damn
that.
things.
Drag Guilt Tripper. So yeah, somehow he did very well. They skipped him over middle school. They moved him from 6th grade to high school. So he was sent to York Castle High School, essentially skipping ahead 2 years. Jamaican pastor Lorenzo King would baptize Malvo into the Seventh-day Adventist Church at 14 years old in 1999. I'm curious. I know that they do shit on Saturdays, but what's a major difference for from the Seventh-day Adventist? Is there?
Keep the Sabbath holy, man. And the Sabbath was Saturday, so they keep that stuff holy.
That's really it.
They're just
Why do you
like
go to church on Sunday then?
they're real. Yeah, they're just real strict on like rules and
I see.
regulation type of a thing. But
Okay. Structure, some might say.
sure, Bumbo Clot Rastafari.
Wait, maybe this is like a crossover, but like how? Okay, so how did Sunday end up being the holy day then?
It's the end of the end of the week. So technically, sun up to sundown Saturday. That's the Sabbath. That was supposed to be the 7th day. Sunday starts the week, right?
Yeah.
So
According to my fucking calendar,
right, right.
it's all Gregorian and shit.
Everyone listen to Death and Co podcast for more of Casey's insights on religion.
I'm also a few beers deep now. So.
So yeah, he's baptized into the Seventh-day Adventist Church in 1999 at 14 years old. Malvo later moved to Antigua in 1999 to be with his mother. He then registered at Antigua at Barbuda Seventh-day Adventist School and got good grades and also won a school award for the 100-meter dash. I think he broke the school record for the 100-meter dash. Malvo and his mother, Una Sion James, first met John Allen Muhammad in Antigua and Barbuda around 1999, where James and Muhammad developed a strong friendship. A very father-son friendship formed between them pretty quickly. Later, James left Antigua for Fort Myers, Florida, using false documents. So his mom's like, look, I'm going to get to Florida. I'm going to get you here once I get here.
Because Florida.
Yeah. So she left her son with Muhammad in the meantime, reportedly planning to have him follow her later. Question number 7. Why didn't he follow her? Was it because A, she actually just abandoned him? B, he wanted to stay with John. C, she died. Or D, John isolates him from his mother, effectively kidnapping him. Casey's got 1,250 points. Bree and Lindsay have 250 points apiece. Bree and Bigfoot both say D, that John isolated and kidnapped him. Lindsay said B, that he wanted to stay with John. John isolated him. He pretty much took him away from his mother. All of the phone calls and letters that Malvo sent out, John was not letting anything get out. Essentially, he was making him think his mother had left him, but it was really John cutting him away from his mother and effectively kidnapping him. So Bree and Bigfoot will get 250 points there. We are 7 questions in. Bigfoot is only not scored on 1 question.
Can you say why he didn't do that, or is that going to come up later?
Why he didn't? I'm sorry.
Like, why did he purposely isolate him from his mother.
Yeah, I mean, essentially the rest of the story is about that for
Okay.
sure. Yeah, he needed someone.
Didn't know if I could just get like a quick rundown.
Yeah, I'm gonna give you a long rundown. So Malvo was converted to Islam by Muhammad in March of 2001. So he only spent 2 years as a Seventh-day Adventist. Muhammad also isolated Malvo from his mother to extreme degrees. Malvo arrived legally in Miami in 2001, and in December of that year, he and his mother were actually back together and apprehended by the Border Patrol in Bellingham, Washington. In January of 2002, Malvo was released on a $1,500 bond and traveled to Bellingham, Washington, where he lived in a homeless shelter with John Muhammad, who had made his way to the country by now. John Muhammad was a citizen still. Malvo enrolled in Bellingham High School with Muhammad falsely listed as his father, but he did not make any friends while at the school, according to classmates. While in Tacoma, Washington area, according to his statements to investigators, Malvo shoplifted a gun. Question number 8. Which gun did he steal? Was it a Bushmaster XM15, a Barrett, I don't know if it's a Rec 7 or REC 7, an Armalite AR-15, or a Remington GPC? Bushmaster, Barrett, Armalite, Remington. Okay, Bree and Bigfoot both say the Armalite AR-15. Lindsay said, was it B, Lindsay? Say B? D. The Remington GPC. It was the Bushmaster XM15. So no points for anybody on that one.
Well, at least we all lose.
It was the Bushmaster. There it is for everybody who's
That one
interested
had the
in-
funniest name. I was like, no.
Like, there's no way. That's ridiculous.
I own a Bushmaster. Settle down now.
So Bushmaster XM15 was stolen from Bullseye Shooter Supply and practiced in... so essentially he steals this gun from a gun store, asks you to use it, dips.
Which is pretty fucking impressive.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say that's pretty gangster.
In any state. What's more, far more gangster, in fact, is that he would come back and use the shooting range operated by the gun store next door just a few weeks later with that rifle.
Ballsy.
Yeah, so he'd bring that Bushmaster XM15 and use it at their firing range to get plenty of practice. Obviously, unbeknownst to the range employees, that had been recently shoplifted from their very own shop. Of course, under federal laws, neither Muhammad nor Malvo was legally allowed to purchase or possess guns, with both classified as prohibited persons, again, under the Gun Control Act of 1968, due to the felony convictions and one not being
Shocking.
not being a legal citizen.
So what you're saying is that criminals don't obey laws.
This theft was about a lot more than wanting to get some target practice in. Question number 9. Shit is about to get wild. By the time it's said and done, these guys will have attacked multiple people. So there's going to be like a main set of attacks and there's like preliminary attacks. I want you guys to give me 2 numbers. How many people were injured in their attacks and how many people died from the attacks? Because not everybody dies. I'll tell you that. It's a happy story. How many people, this could be hard because it could be 100 and only 2 died or whatever. How many people were attacked? How many people died?
Is that technically a happy story?
If not everyone died, it's happier than...
Out of how many people?
Well, that's just it. I want you to tell me how many people were attacked. And then, additionally, for extra points, someone's going to be the closest on that. And then someone's going to be the closest to telling me how many of those people were actually injured. So give me 2
There's
numbers.
potential to earn 500 points here, Lindsay.
Exactly correct. There's a potential to earn 2,000 points here. If you could tell me how many it was and how many it was. If you could nail both numbers, you can get 2,000 points. You can take a lead on Bigfoot.
So, how many injured and how many ended up dying?
Yes. Correct. Larger number first. Okay, so Bree said that 17 were injured. Bigfoot said that 12 were injured and 17 were injured, said Lindsay. So I will give you guys both 250 points because 20 people were attacked and injured. So 250 points for that. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I'm going to put it all on one. How many people died of those 20? Bree said 13, 7 from Bigfoot, and 4 from Lindsay. 15 of the people throughout their attacks would die, giving Bree the 250 points on that one. So 500 points for Bree, 250 points for everybody else on that question.
Not yes that those people died.
Just
Yes
scored
that I
points.
got points because
Did Casey get 250 on that?
Casey did get no. Casey didn't get anything. You're right.
Tell him I said it too.
Hella Craig coming in strong. If you want that back. So Casey, you didn't get anything on that one. 28 were attacked. 15 were
Oh,
killed.
was that many?
Well, there was preliminary attacks. Like I said, I was trying to give you the hint that there was trying to get everybody. There were two sets of attacks. On February 16th, 2002, 21-year-old cashier. So we're going to kind of get into these preliminary ones. On February 16th of 02, 21-year-old cashier Kenya Nicole Cook was shot and killed by Lee Malvo at the front door of her aunt's home in Tacoma, Washington. Cook's aunt, Isa Nichols, had been good friends with John Allen Muhammad's ex-wife, Mildred, and had encouraged her to seek a divorce. On March
I do
19th,
remember.
2002, Jerry Taylor was 60 and was killed by a single gunshot wound to the chest from long range as he practiced chip shots at a Tucson, Arizona golf course. So he's just out taking chip shots and someone shoots him from long range with a high-powered assault rifle and kills him. 2 deaths.
It's not just let me say it's not a bad way to go.
Muhammad's sister lived near the golf course, and he was said to be visiting her at around the time of the shooting. 2 deaths and 4 injuries followed in 2 other states from March through July of 2002, with very similar MOs to these first 2 attacks. On August 1st, 2002, John Gaeta, who is 51, was changing a tire at a parking lot in Hammond, Louisiana, and was shot in the neck by Malvo. The bullet instantly exited through Gaeta's back, and he pretended to be dead while Malvo ran up and stole his wallet. So from the car, ran up, stole his wallet, and this guy's just like being shot in the neck, and it exited out his back. It was like down this way, and yeah. So on September 5th, 2002 at 10:30 p.m. Oh, sorry. Gaeta ran to a service station after the shooter left and discovered that he didn't like know that he had been shot at first. He thought he heard a sound, so he pretended to be dead. And I've heard this before, like through and through, adrenaline, shock. Like he didn't realize he'd been shot in the neck, and it had exited. It missed everything. Luckily
Wow.
for him. He was bleeding. He was taken to the hospital and was released within an hour. They were like,
What a fucking boss, dude. He got shot in the neck and like got up and ran.
Yeah,
If I
well-
got shot in the neck, I'd be like, you know what? This is
But
it.
that's just it. He thought that the bullet missed him, so he laid there and pretended to be dead. That a bullet that was shot because he knew that he was being shot at, and so he laid there. Malvo comes up and steals his wallet, and he's like, "Oh fuck! Thank God they didn't double tap." And he ran to the gas station where the gas station attendant was like, "Yo, you're fucking bleeding," and he's like, and he had like a fucking. It was a 223 that
Holy
fucking
shit.
it just passed through. But like I said, adrenaline, shock.
Right.
Yeah.
It is a big round, man. But it hit him. It was, but I think it just winged the neck, man. It went through like the very side here and out the back and got like some muscles in the clavicle and missed the shoulder and just like. I'm not
Yeah,
saying
I mean,
that
it's
you
not-
wouldn't feel it, but it's
Right. It's not too big a round. I mean, it's
Yeah,
smaller than 5.56 that NATO military carries, but it's purposefully built to tumble once it hits
so
something.
it
So
would-
the
yeah.
exit wound should have been super big.
And maybe I'm incorrect in saying that it's the 223 in the Bushmaster. It could have been something
It could have been
smaller,
223.
especially since Malvo was up really quick. Like he heard the shot and he was there. So I don't know. We're doing our own forensic research on this now. September 5th, 2002 at 10:30 p.m., Paul LaRufa, who was a 55-year-old pizzeria owner, was shot 6 times at close range while locking up his Italian restaurant in Clinton, Maryland. LaRufa survived the shooting, talking about more badasses, and his laptop computer was found in John Allen Muhammad's car when he and Malvo will eventually be arrested. On September 21st, 2002, at 12:15 a.m., a 41-year-old Millen A. Woldermariam was fatally shot in the head and the back with a .22 caliber pistol in Atlanta, Georgia. So not impossible that since these all seem to be a little more close up than from long range, except for the first 2, not impossible to think that maybe he was shot with that .22. The gentleman who had to pass through. 19 hours later, on the same day, Claudine Parker, Woldermariam was helping the owner of Sammy's package store close up for the night when the shooting occurred. So she like had her back to the door, closing up. Someone came up and shot her. 19 hours later, on the same day, Claudine Parker, a 52-year-old liquor store clerk in Montgomery, Alabama, was shot in the chest and killed during a robbery. Her co-worker, 24-year-old Kelly Adams, was critically wounded with a shot through the neck but survived. Evidence found that the crime scene eventually tied this killing to their attacks and allowed authorities to identify Muhammad and Malvo as suspects, although this connection was not made until October 17th of this year. On September 23rd of 2002 at 6:30 p.m., 45-year-old Hong M. Ballinger was shot in the head and killed with a Bushmaster rifle in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Muhammad and Malvo were later linked to the killing. So those attacks are what is known as the preliminary attacks. This is the beginning. There are going to be a little more serious rash of attacks over the next few months.
More serious than the people that already died.
Yeah, like these are more high profile, I guess I should say.
Okay.
Yeah. They're, or maybe I should just say more serious attacks.
Okay.
Fix my my pausing there. My cadence was wrong. Question number 10. I believe Bigfoot already knows this. I wrote it in a way that there couldn't be stabbing, so I apologize.
Oh, I'm just going to stab anyway.
Okay, go ahead. Question number 10. What will this pair become known as? Is it A, the Islam radicals, B, Muhammad and Malvo, C, the DC snipers, or D, they were actually never given a nickname?
DC snipers.
Do you believe that she's correct? Do you want to just go with that answer?
I mean, you guys have been doing the same
I
thing
know.
like this whole episode, so.
I wanted to say that, but then I'm like, do I just know that name from somewhere else?
I will say, whenever I give the nickname answers, all of these are real nicknames in other places. Well, obviously, besides Muhammad and Malvo, which is their names and could also be the nickname they went by.
I'm going to say D.
They were never given one.
Yeah.
They were known as the DC Snipers. So 250 points to Bree and Bigfoot on that one.
knew
Bigfoot
it
has
sounded
got
familiar.
1,750 points. Bree has 1,250. So you're actually not too far behind. Did I got that right? There's 1,000. No, that's 1,500.
In all fairness, all I want to beat is Lindsay again.
Dang, again.
Because she beat me twice. I have to catch up to her.
Even it out.
Yeah.
Okay, so Lindsay's got 500. Bigfoot's got 1,750. Bree has got 1,250. So you're right in it. Just score more.
I might give up and just start drinking a little harder.
So let's take a break right here.
That's when you score the most.
Turn on
my
a little
winning
bit of this
juice.
fucking air
Yes.
conditioner. We'll take a break. We'll come back with Hella Greg's story. I'm excited for what he's brought. You guys don't get to know yet. Come back or we'll kill you.
You gonna have a dart?
Welcome back, everybody, to this episode of the Serial Chillers podcast. I don't know what number it is. 94, I think.
94.
94. Welcome back to episode 94 of the Serial Chillers podcast. Hella Greg, as is tradition, has brought another story for us. Like I said before the break, I teased it a little. See what I did there? I teased it. I'm excited about this.
A cliffhanger.
Cliffhanger, I believe.
Sylvester
it is pronounced. Oh. So, I won't take too much of your time. I know you're going to ask your question at the top. So I tell you guys, listen to Hella Greg's story and question number 11.
Glenn Howerton.
Closest to the answer gets 250 points. 1,000 if you nail it. Is that it?
Yeah, 1,000.
Yeah.
Greg, I put an animated GIF on it this time of wild card bitches, and he's jumping out of the back of the van.
It's perfect.
All right, so question number 11, 250 points to the closest. Greg, take it away.
The RMS Titanic was a British passenger liner. It sank in the North Atlantic Ocean in what year?
What year? 250 points to the closest. 1,000 if you can nail it.
Which one?
The Titanic.
The boat.
Okay.
What year did that shit sink?
Why do you sound so skeptical, Lindsay?
I'll tell you in a second.
Is it because she knows? She's like
Maybe now I might feel
I
wrong.
She's in her head
Yeah,
saying,
I don't know.
Yeah.
near, far, wherever.
I'm trying to channel Celine right now.
1998 was when it.
Okay, so Bree said 1927. Bigfoot said 1934. And Lindsay said 1912.
Lindsay nailed it.
1,000 points to
Okay,
Lindsay.
I was like, I
Damn
feel like
it.
that's so easy, but then I started getting scared. Like maybe I was wrong.
Fuck.
I just don't care about the Titanic,
Allegedly
that's all.
sank April 15th, 1912.
I
So-
saw the movie Titanic 27 times. I'm just kidding.
I saw
Yeah,
1,912.
How many times have you actually seen
How
it?
many times have I actually seen it?
Because I've seen it 0.
Probably at least 10 times for sure.
Really?
I've seen
For
it
sure.
over that. I remember watching it a ton when I was a
Yeah.
little girl.
Leo
It
DiCaprio,
was
baby.
my first date of my entire life was seeing like the 6th grade or whatever, 5th grade, whenever it came
Yeah.
out. So Lindsay's going to take a lead. 2,000 to 1,750.
I'm
So,
back in it.
Right back in it.
Fuck.
Oh, I
I told
gotta
you.
slow my
What'd I
drink
tell you?
down.
I
What'd
jinxed
tell you?
myself.
Okay, so
No, drink
Bree
more.
has got
Makes
1,250.
you score more.
Bigfoot has 1,750. Lindsay has reclaimed the lead that she once held when they were tied at 0 with 2,000 points.
Wow.
Okay, well let's hear about the Titanic,
FML.
Greg. We got a game here.
Pissed.
All right. Well, I'll make it a choose your own adventure thing here.
Ooh.
So you know how the Titanic went down. It hit an iceberg. It sank.
Did it?
Yeah.
Well,
Or do we?
allegedly. So
It did.
there was about 2,224 people on board. Around 1,500 survived.
That's not bad.
Basically,
That's a loss.
That's pretty
man.
good.
75% survival rate.
Yeah, that's pretty damn good.
25% death rate is a lot.
Nah.
That's a lot of people.
Everybody
I
dies,
think a
so
25%
really
death
there was
rate in
100%
1912
death
for
rate.
anything is pretty good.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking for the time. That's pretty.
Plus they're like cryogenically frozen like Walt Disney, so you can just cut their heads off.
Fuck up.
Sorry, Greg.
So I'll give you the option. Because there's a few reasons why the people don't think that, or what actually happened with the Titanic. So, which would you like? I can give you the mummy's curse. I can give you the insurance scam, or big government getting involved.
Nah, I like the mummy curse.
Big government.
Ooh.
Oh, I was gonna go with insurance, but actually, Mummy Curse sounds the funnest.
I was gonna say if
As
that was a
long as
three-way
Brendan
break, I was gonna
Fraser
take
isn't
Mummy Curse,
involved,
too.
then I like it.
Okay, so
Not even Encino
it-
Man.
Nah,
The
fuck that
Titanic
guy.
allegedly sank as a result of a curse from a mummy. The mummy was Amen Ra, a princess from about 1500 BC. It's probably Casey in his past life.
Amen.
Legend has it, when the sarcophagus was discovered by 4 men, the highest bidder took the body back to his hotel in 1890. He was seen walking out into the desert and he never returned. The second was accidentally shot in the arm by an Egyptian servant, and the wound became infected and his arm was amputated. The third found out on his way back home that the bank that held his entire life savings had gone under and failed. And the fourth suffered a severe illness. As a result, he lost his job and was forced to sell matches on the street.
Man, they give that
So-
shit away for free at gas stations. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So then it was purchased by a businessman who finally got it back to England. 3 of his family members died and his house caught fire and it was destroyed. So he donated it to the British Museum. And as it was being unloaded, the truck carrying it rolled backwards and trapped a passerby. While it was being hoisted upstairs, one of the 2 workers fell and broke his leg, and the other died without explanation 2 days later.
I definitely want to be the one that broke his leg.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, it's not so bad now that I think about it. Hammering and crying and sobbing were heard from the casket once it was moved into the Egyptian room. Other displays were, quote, hurled around the room at night. And one watchman died on duty, and that made others quit. So they didn't have any night watchmen. Well, they didn't
What did he die
have
from?
watchmen. He just died. Fright.
From not
He had ghosts in his
vaccinating.
blood.
Why didn't he just do cocaine about it?
That's real.
He's on a watchman's salary.
Who watches The Watchmen?
In this economy, ghosts apparently. It was eventually sold to a private owner. Oh wait, I'm sorry. A British newspaper got wind and a photographer went to see the casket. When he developed the shot he took, a horrifying face was said to appear on the front of the casket. The photographer locked himself in his room and shot himself. Couldn't find the picture.
Pretty
Twitter.
scary face.
Tried to find the picture, could not find the picture.
It's because it doesn't exist.
It was eventually sold to a private owner and banished to the attic after more misfortune. Madame Helena Blavatsky visited the mummy, and she was actually she was Hitler's guide to the occult. She worked with Hitler and like helped him. Like she did some occult shit with him. It was.
Thanks, bitch.
It's well, I mean, it's not like she was like, oh yeah, hey, by the way, the devil says we need to go kill a bunch of Jews. It was more like he was like, can you,
He
tell the
suggested
future?
it.
And she was like, I can, and she was all vague about it. She said when she went to go visit the mummy upon entry, she was seized with a shivering fit and searched the house for the source of, quote, an evil influence of incredible intensity. She finally came to the attic and found the mummy case. She was asked to perform an exorcism, but refused, saying that evil is forever. So the mummy was finally purchased by an archaeologist in America, and the new owner accompanied his new purchase aboard the Titanic in April of 1912.
Oh shit!
So the reality of the mummy was, according to the manifest of the Titanic, there was 0 Egyptian artifacts on board. Strike one. According to the British Museum, from the time it was acquired in 1890 to 1990, when it was first sent on its when it was sent on its first overseas exhibit, it never once left the property. Strike two. And the reports of the mummy came from one person on a lifeboat, Frederick K. Seward. He was a lawyer from New York who said he'd heard the story from someone at the bar on the boat. Strike three. There was no mummy.
Told you.
Fun
So why
story,
did
though,
you tell
right?
us that story?
Because it's fucking fun.
And
were on the
you
edge
got
of your
to choose
seat
your
the
own
entire
adventure.
time.
Yeah, it's like playing D&D.
Never played it.
You should. It's pretty dope.
Been watching Riverdale where they're playing G&G though.
Riverdale. So you're watching Sabrina as well?
No.
Isn't she part of Riverdale?
No, those are two totally
I thought
different
Sabrina came from the Archie comics, though.
shows. Did she?
So it's the same universe.
Really?
Yeah.
That's exciting.
Yeah,
Hey,
if
will
I had
Greg,
to,
will Greg like this?
if I had to, if I had to ask 2 people for comic book advice, Bigfoot would be one of them. Austin Lynn would be the other.
So Sabrina and Archie are
What's
from
up?
the same
Except you didn't give the
universe.
Yeah,
dog
they're from the same
smallpox.
universe. I'm pretty sure.
Craig said it's pretty good, except he didn't give the dog smallpox.
Blanket. Smallpox blanket.
And you don't know that either. Well, thank you.
Give me that gold and I'll give you fire water.
Thank you, Hello Greg, for your. Are you
I'm
done?
done.
No, sorry. I thought you were.
No,
after
that's
okay.
cool. We can leave it there.
No,
That's
did
good.
you have? Don't do this. Do you have more?
That's What the fuck? Why does he do that, dude?
Because he's done. He said he's.
Yeah,
What-
I could be done. That's cool.
No,
No, he just did that to me like 10 minutes ago. The fucking picture. He's like,
talking about?
thanks for not putting me in the post. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to take a picture with you. He's like, no, you're not. Like,
clique. No, sorry. I'm just pretty high.
No, that's cool. I'll save the rest.
Oh, that's
Go ahead.
right. Check out Hella Conspiracies.
Because there's still 2 more paths you can go down.
Yeah. Hella Conspiracies will have those for you.
Yeah.
Okay, I liked the. I don't care that it wasn't real because a lot of shit's not real.
How do you know it's not real?
He just told me
Yeah.
it wasn't.
but to be
Just-
honest,
well-
So just because
Yeah.
Greg says it's not real,
Listen,
it's not real?
I'm not going to go research this shit. So I've got to take what Greg says. I know I got to take it with a grain of salt, but it's going to have to be. It's going to have to be mostly where my research comes from because I'm not going to do it.
to be honest, there's no way that any of that could be real.
Why?
But
Yeah.
honestly, I love the choose your own adventure setup.
But
that
why
you
couldn't
just
it be
did.
real?
Yeah, you didn't answer anybody's
Because
question.
he just said it's not fucking real.
So
that
just
doesn't mean that it
because
couldn't be.
Greg, can
You're
you
like
tell
a
me
deity.
how the world was created? And I'm just going to take it because you said that's how it was done.
He does his research.
Okay, I feel like
Wow.
we're twisting some things up here. And how was it, Greg? Tell him it was me. Come on.
What?
The universe.
Oh yeah, it was Jesse.
It's like Frank when you got AIDS, you just got to go to the front of the water slide. I've got
I
AIDS.
got AIDS.
You mean Mantis
Not the
Toboggan?
gay, not
or?
the gay kind.
Yeah, not the gay guy. All right, let's go. Thank you, Hella Greg, for one
Fuck,
of
I
3
should've said that.
choose your own stories. Make sure to get $5 to the Patreon, and you will get Hella Greg's show starting in season 5. So thank you,
Dude, $5, that's it, Greg?
I was gonna do it for $6.66, but I didn't want to piss off people who were given $5. I didn't want them to feel gypped.
There you
And
go.
if you pledge $1,000 a month,
if you pledge $1,000 a month,
I will personally call you every day.
so if we'll recall, they're going to become known as the DC Snipers. We just finished up with some preliminary attacks. We're going to get the DC Sniper attacks, or the Beltway shootings, I believe they're also known as. So this is 5:20 p.m. on Wednesday, October 2nd, 2002. A shot was fired through a window of a Michael's Craft store in Aspen Hill. The bullet barely missed Ann Chapman, who was a cashier, and since no one was injured, the shot was assumed to just be at random and no serious alarms were raised. However, 1 hour later at 6:30 p.m., James Martin, a 55-year-old program analyst at the NOAA, was shot and killed at 2201 Randolph Road in the parking lot of a Shoppers Food Warehouse grocery store located in Wheaton. On the morning of October 3rd, the following morning, 4 people were shot dead within a span of approximately 2 hours in Aspen Hill and the nearby areas in Montgomery County. Another was killed that evening in the Tacoma neighborhood of the District of Columbia. At 7:41 a.m., James Buchanan, the 39-year-old landscaper known as Sonny, was shot dead near Rockville, Maryland. Buchanan was shot while mowing the grass at the Fitzgerald Auto Malls. Like 30 minutes later, 54-year-old part-time taxi cab driver Prem Kumar Walakar was killed in Aspen Hill in Montgomery County while pumping gasoline into his taxi at a mobile gas station. 8:37, this is 25 minutes later, Sarah Ramos, a 34-year-old babysitter and housekeeper, was killed at the Leisure World Shopping Center in Norbeck. She had gotten off a bus and was seated on a bench reading a book. At 9:58 a.m., in what was going to be the last killing of the morning, 25-year-old Lori Ann Lewis Rivera was killed while vacuuming her Dodge Caravan at the Shell station at the intersection of Connecticut and Knowles Avenue in Kensington, Maryland. The snipers then waited until 9:20 p.m. on October 3rd before shooting Pascal Charlotte, a 72-year-old retired carpenter, while he was walking on Georgia Avenue in Washington, D.C. Charlotte died less than 1 hour later. It was one day.
Wow.
4 of them were just from like 7:40 a.m. to 9:30.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know how long it takes me just to wake up in the morning?
You can't just be up
1
killing
hour?
foos.
more than 1 hour?
I gotta sit on my phone, scroll through Facebook,
Yeah.
make my coffee, take my vitamins.
I was gonna say when I wake up, the
Process.
first thing I do is look at Bitcoin. Where am I at? Did I make money? Did I lose money?
Yeah.
Not me, man. I wake up in the morning, take a shit, get out of bed, start my day.
Can I submit this as an answer already in case it's asked?
Is Greg
Move
the
it to
DC
the
sniper?
other way. There you go. You can submit that as an answer.
All right.
I
Nice,
can't
Greg.
do anything with it, but you can submit it as an
right.
answer.
He's like, you do whatever you want, man.
Yeah, I support you, man.
Okay, so in each of these killings, in each of these shootings, the victims were killed by a single bullet fired from some distance, and in each case, the killers were struck and then vanished. The killers struck and then vanished. And each of the shooting victims were killed by a single bullet. Yeah, okay. This pattern was not detected until after the shootings occurred on October 3rd. At a press conference meeting, Chief of Police for Montgomery County, Maryland, Charles Moose, that's hard. Charles Moose informed parents that schools were on a code blue alert, keeping children indoors, and for the time being, the schools were safe. Many parents went to pick up their children at school early, not allowing them to take a school bus or walk home. Montgomery County Public Schools, District of Columbia Public Schools, and private schools went into lockdown with no recess or outdoor physical education classes as well. Other school districts in the area also took precautionary measures, keeping students indoors, and police had few pieces of evidence to work with, including one initial report that during the Silver Spring attack, someone had reportedly been seen in a vehicle fleeing the scene. Was it?
Uh-oh.
What?
Are you gonna?
You want the multiple choice
Are you
options?
gonna, no. Are you gonna accept that?
You just want to stab at this?
Yeah.
Okay. I will accept this as your stab answer. Was it A, a white van, a blue Caprice, B, C, a green Grand Prix, or D, a yellow Civic?
Oh, dang it. Now I know what it was, but I thought I was right.
Casey stabbed before we even got there. He said a black Pontiac.
No, a blue.
Blue Pontiac. Sorry, I apologize. You did say a blue Pontiac. Lindsay says the van. And Bree said, what'd you say again? The Grand Prix. Okay. So this is a little bit of a trick question because this is what the witness reported seeing fleeing the scene, which Lindsay was correct.
A white van. I do remember that.
Yes. So Lindsay's going to stretch out her
Damn it.
lead here.
My smart juice is kicking in, you guys.
Do I get to keep that for later?
I don't think yeah.
I hate you.
No.
No, I'm just kidding.
So, okay, 1750 for Casey, 1250 for Bree, 2250 for Lindsay. I just
Damn.
see you got the encouragement from me. I told you, score more points, and then look what you did.
Yeah.
See, you're welcome.
You
I-
Put it
manifested
into
that,
the
Jesse.
universe.
Yeah, chaos magic. Make it happen.
No, it's quantum physics. You collapse the wave function of the strings that were vibrating at a certain frequency, and then you created that.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
For sure. So after the murders in Washington, D.C., witnesses then began telling police that they had seen a blue Chevy Caprice instead of the white box truck. They also initially believed that all the murders were carried out with the use of a .223 caliber rifle. At this point, Malvo and Muhammad started covering a wider area, taking on 2 or 3 days between shooting. So we're talking about that first morning, there were 5 that first day, 4 in the first morning, and now they're spreading them out over a couple days. On October 4th, 43-year-old homemaker Caroline Sewell was wounded in the chest at 2:30 p.m. in the parking lot of another Michaels store at Spotsylvania Mall in Spotsylvania while she was loading purchases into her minivan. She's loading up her car from Michaels. They must really
I was
hate
going to say,
Michaels.
like, if you're going to shoot people, why at a Michael's?
And why like a little
That's
old
like stay-at-home
lady,
moms
a 43-year-old
or-
stay-at-home
Yeah.
mom loading her
Crafters,
minivan? What's that?
I got all these fake flowers.
I said I fucking hate crafters.
Yeah.
That's a specific
Also-
kind
Shut
of
the fuck up
asshole.
about fake flowers, too, by the way.
No, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying, like, people go to Michael's to
They
get the
look
fake
nice,
flowers.
and I can't kill them.
Oh, you can't.
I think
my fake plants
Spotsylvania
didn't die because I did not
sounds-
pretty to water them. Sorry, what about
You didn't
Spotsylvania?
talk to him
sounds like a
enough.
place from a story where everything begins with Spot.
That could be a good kid's book.
Write that
That's what
down.
it sounds like.
Jot
I
that
don't
down.
think
Spot got
Greg's
in
the
his
person
Spot
you
car
want
and
writing
drove
a
to
kid's book.
Spotsylvania. Like,
Greg, write a kid's book. I just want to see what you,
You
come
don't
up
want-
with.
yeah, that's what you
You-
want is my influence on your children.
He's like, Chapter 2, Pizzagate.
I just kind of want to
Dave
see what he
Frosty
comes up with.
children.
Actually, kids, when your mom's not around, call this
Conspiracies
number.
for kids.
Right.
Okay, so they believed it was a .223 caliber rifle. At this point, Malvo and Muhammad started covering a wider area, 2 or 3 days, October 4th. Yep. By this point, hundreds of journalists had converged to cover the unfolding events. School officials reassured the public that they were taking every measure possible to protect children by tightening security and canceling all outdoor activities. On October 7th at 8:09 a.m., unfortunately, they were proved to be incorrect when Iran Brown, who was a 13-year-old student, was shot in the chest and critically wounded as he arrived at the Benjamin Tasker Middle School in Bowie, Maryland, in Prince George's County. Brown's name was originally concealed from public record and was later revealed. His aunt, Tanya Brown, was a nurse who had just brought him to school. She got him back into the car and rushed him to the hospital emergency room, and despite serious injuries, including damage to several major organs, Brown survived the attack and ultimately testified at Muhammad's trial. At this crime scene, the authorities discovered a shell casing as well as one peculiar item. Question number 13. What was that peculiar item? Was it A, a tarot card, B, a bundle of sage, C, a Bible, or D, a crystal ball? Tarot card, bundle of sage, a Bible, crystal ball.
It was a Unigreg sticker
Ah.
and a can of liquid death.
Okay, so Bree and Bigfoot both say a tarot card. Lindsay said that it was, would you say the bundle of sage?
Bible.
Bible. The Bible. The lead is going to get closed in on by Bree and Bigfoot because, yes, they found a tarot card at the scene of the crime. So, 2 gets you to 1,500, 2,000, and 2,200.
If there's anything that I know, it's that Allah loves tarot cards.
Is that true?
No, it's
Or is
not
that like the exact opposite?
probably the opposite, but
So they found a tarot card. It was the death card. It was inscribed with the phrase, "Call me God" on the front and 3 separate lines on the back that said, "For you, Mr. Police, code, call me God. Do not release to the press." Despite police efforts to honor the request to not release information about the card to the press, details were made public by WUSA TV and then the Washington Post just 1 day later.
He's like, you better not make this public. You
Yeah.
guys better not.
he thought he was the Zodiac,
You
and then he
better
was like,
not
"God damn
do
it!"
it, guys.
On October 9th at 8:18 p.m., 53-year-old civil engineer Dean Harold Myers was shot dead while pumping gasoline at Sunoco gas station. So about this time, actually, let's see. On the morning of October 11th, 53-year-old businessman Kenneth Bridges was shot dead while pumping fuel at an Exxon station just on the other side of town. So at this time, like gas stations all around town are either A, having attendants pump all the gas or hanging tarps around the entire like top part. So
How
when you pull in
terrifying.
to get
Dude,
gas, you can't be seen.
I like how attendants are like, "Fuck it, like if
Yeah.
I die, I die."
I
Like,
do it.
I'm down.
Doing what I love, filling fossil
Yeah,
fuel
like-
into vehicles.
My life isn't worth that much. It's all good.
So
What year was this?
2002.
2000. Yeah.
We just lost all
Yeah.
the listeners that work at
2002.
Chevron.
2002
Fuck you
in
guys.
Washington, D.C. So it's what, a year, 13
It's like
months
it's
after
13 months
9/11.
after
Post
9/11.
9/11.
Yeah.
Everybody was still in that mindset. We're like, dude, those people ran into those towers. I can go outside and pump gas while there's a killer on the loose. Fucking
Dude, it
America.
was an inside job anyway, so what does it matter?
There's a show for that.
Yes, we can say that now. On October 14th at 9:15 p.m., 47-year-old Linda Franklin, an FBI intelligence analyst who was a resident in Arlington County, Virginia, was shot dead in a covered parking lot at Home Depot in Fairfax County, Virginia, just outside Falls Church at Seven Corners Shopping Center. So that's kind of a big deal. Like, it may not have been like an FBI field agent, but like an FBI employee was killed by these individuals. The
On purpose?
Oh yeah. Well, I don't know if they knew
I
she
don't
was
think
an
they-
FBI
yeah.
agent.
Not
But
necessarily.
I mean.
Good chance for
not
them,
that he's
though.
an FBI agent, but
Good on you, mate.
yeah, the police received what seemed to be a very good lead after an October 14th shooting, but it was later determined the witness was inside the Home Depot at the time and was lying. This witness, Matthew Dowdy, was subsequently convicted with interfering with the investigation.
Yeah, fuck you, Matthew Dowdy.
He like made up a huge story about like seeing the car and seeing the shooters and some other shit, and they like later got surveillance video, and he wasn't even close to any of it. Malvo and Muhammad did not commit any more shootings for 5 days. But on the 5th day, October 19th at 8 p.m., 37-year-old Jeffrey Hopper was shot in a parking lot near the Ponderosa Steakhouse in Ashland, Virginia, about 90 miles south of Washington near Interstate 95. His wife, Stephanie, called out to passersby who phoned for an ambulance, enabling Hopper to survive his injuries. Authorities discovered a 4-page letter from the shooter in the woods at this time that demanded money and a threat to children. I can't remember if police found the letter or if civilians found it, knew some shit was up with it, and called. I should have had this in here, but
That seems so strange to me that it would be like in the woods like that. Instead of, if you wanted it found, why not put it someplace where
I think
you
it
want
was
to
like
be
along
found?
a trail. Like it was.
Yeah, like that. That doesn't seem like put it with the body.
Yeah.
You know what I
They
mean?
weren't killing anybody up close. They were the weapon they have is used for like up to 300 yards to get a kill from up to 300
Damn.
yards. Yeah.
Yes.
You
Either
can
way.
go further than that
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
You just
Maybe the
gotta
scope they
compensate.
had was used for up
Yeah.
to 300 yards. Either way, yeah, shit is fucking wild here. But they find this letter, and in this letter, they're saying, we want this amount of money. This is the money they wanted to start the terrorist camp. Question number 14. How much money did they demand?
For a terrorist camp?
And other, I'm sure, goings-ons.
I
I
like
mean, if
that
you
their
wanted to
plan
start a
was-
terrorist camp, you don't need money.
Yeah.
I like that their plan was, hey, we're gonna kill a bunch of people, and then we're gonna tell the government we want this much money, and the government's gonna be so terrified that they're gonna pay us.
Metal.
Like that's the plan.
Because the government cares about human lives, right? Is the point you're getting at?
There's a show for that.
I like his neck twist too. There was a
It's very Will
definite-
Smith of you.
Yes, yes.
Like the Fresh
Fuck
Prince.
Will Smith.
Very fresh
Oh, man.
prince of him.
You don't like
I'm
a lot of
trying to
people
think-
He's
tonight.
one of the worst actors of all time,
What?
for sure.
Same character and everything.
For
He's
sure.
still being the Fresh Prince. It's fine. Everybody's got
He
their-
was an
He made
amazing
he made an
genie.
entire
Calm
career
down.
off being Will Smith.
Yeah. Okay. Everybody got their answers?
No,
How much
I don't.
money did it's not hard.
How much money does it cost to like run a terrorist death camp? Do you think it's a lot of money?
Don't look at my answer.
$100, Bob?
They asked for a Visa gift card.
Did you take Amazon?
Amazon wasn't as big yet.
Just load this with like
It was a joke,
$100.
hella Greg.
Amazon just had
No, I'm
books
just
right
saying.
now. Okay.
I was gonna make the same joke, but I realized Amazon wasn't as big yet.
Lindsay does the calculations in her
Selling.
head and realizes that it'd take about $5 million. Bigfoot said, I believe, $4 million. Bree said $2 million. And Lindsay will extend her lead a little bit because they asked for $10 million.
God damn it.
You know, my original answer was going to be like $500K.
Yeah, that sounds reasonable. I mean, honestly, I could probably start with nothing. Right? You just got to brainwash people.
That's what I mean. Yeah,
Yeah, like, you don't
that's the
need
easy
money for
part.
that.
Yeah.
Okay, so Bree's got 1250, Bigfoot has
Wah, wah,
2000, and Lindsay's got 2500. We've got 3 questions to go.
I don't know how I'm doing it, you guys. It's pure luck.
It's
and
the
Kirkland
goddamn
vodka.
smart
Can we just
juice.
like combine scores and
Yeah, tag team.
Okay, you'd have a 750-point lead at this point. On October 21st, the Richmond area police arrested 2 men with a white van outside of a gas station that was near a payphone that had been traced to the shooters. So essentially, they put a thing out having the shooters call a certain payphone, and they were going to try to trace from that payphone the payphone they were calling from.
that's racial profiling.
So they did this, and they arrest these 2 guys with the van, and they get these guys, and they're arrested in connection with it. Obviously, the men had nothing to do with it, other than the fact that they were near the payphone. That was actually the incorrect payphone. The right payphone was across the street, but they saw a white van, a payphone, and were just like, get them! So they get these 2 guys, and this I actually find to be really fucked. The men turned out to be illegal immigrants with no connection to the shooter at all. However, they were still remanded into the custody of what was then the immigration and subsequently deported. So the next day, October 22nd, a bus driver, Conrad Johnson, who was
I'm going
35,
to eat the rest of your chips, bro.
was shot
Go
at
for it.
5:50. He offered them to you at 5:56 a.m. while standing on the steps of a bus. So he's a bus driver standing on the steps of his bus, stretching out for the morning. I'm about to drive this bus. It doesn't end well for him. Chief.
Sure is a beautiful day to be a bus driver.
Yeah.
Really hope nothing bad happens.
Oh, I'm hang gliding. Oh, I'm an idiot. So Chief Moose released part of the content of one of the shooter's letters in which he declares, "Your children are not safe anywhere at any time." So it was a 4-page letter front and back. So it was like 8 pages of written word demanding this $10 million. Pretty much also threatening children along the way. While no shootings occurred on October 23rd, the day is significant for 2 events. First, ballistic experts confirmed Johnson as the 10th fatality in the Beltway shootings. Second, in a yard in Tacoma, Washington, police searched with metal detectors for bullets, shell casings, and other evidence that might provide link to the shooters. And a tree stump believed to have been used for target practice was seized as well. This is like a big turning point, this tree stump, and they find a bunch of shell casings in this yard with the metal detector.
Have you ever had to remove a tree stump?
Oh, my God. Very small ones, and it was still like almost an all-day fucking thing.
I know. I just like to think that there's like 4 guys out there in full police uniforms, like with the 40 extra pounds of gear, the vest, the belts, and everything, the fucking nightstick in the way.
You know they made
They're out there
CSI
trying
do it.
not to accidentally discharge their taser into their thigh or some shit while they're digging out a fucking stump. That makes me laugh.
All they did was just hook it up to the police cruiser.
That's what I was
and
going to
then
think. They
pull
hooked it up to a
out.
truck and pulled it until they burned up a
Hooked it up
couple
to a Crown
transmissions.
Vic.
Yeah. Hey.
Those things rip, dude.
Dude,
those
those
Crown
things
Vics were
do.
balling. Okay, so take a tree stump and get some shell casings from a yard that they used to live in. With 7 separate shooting victims, including 6 deaths in the first 15 hours of the D.C. area spree, the North American media began devoting enormous coverage to the shooting. This is where, like, I remember, it was on every fucking news channel. By the middle of October 2002, all news television networks provided live coverage from aftermath of each attack, with the coverage often lasting for hours at a time. So these people would be shot, and the national news was about like, DC snipers strike again. Here's live footage of the person lying on the ground.
Ratings, baby.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, OJ did a lot for the media. Much of the coverage in the case in the New York Times was written by Jason Blair. The piece by Jason Blair was subsequently found to be fabricated, and the ensuing scandal led to the newspaper's top 2 editors, Howell Raines and Gerald Boyd, to resign. So this case directly led to 2 top New York Times editors quitting because one of their writers wrote a completely fabricated story about the events.
Hashtag fake news.
During the weeks when the attacks occurred, fear of the apparently random shootings generated a great deal of public apprehension, obviously, and especially the service stations and parking lots of large stores. People pumping gasolines at gas stations would walk around their cars quickly, hoping that they would be harder target to hit. Some stations put tarps up around the awnings over the fuel pumps, and some people would feel safer. Also, at many of these, they would attempt to fuel their vehicles at the naval base, at the National Naval Medical Center in Bethesda, Maryland, as they felt they were safer inside the guarded fence of the Navy station. Various government buildings, such as the White House, U.S. Capitol, and Supreme Court building, and memorial tourist attractions at the National Mall in Washington, D.C., also received heightened security. For the duration of the attacks, the United States Senate pages received a driven police escort to and from the United States Capitol every day and were not allowed to leave their residence hall for any reason except for work. Drivers of white vans and box trucks were viewed with suspicion from other motorists, as initial reports indicated the suspect may be driving such a vehicle.
Is that vehicle profiling?
I feel like we should just be suspicious of box trucks. Like,
Always?
Always.
At all times?
I
Like,
see
there's
that.
probably a bunch of, like, naked people that they're going to go rape in there.
if you see like a windowless van, like
There
be
is a
suspicious.
window.
There's like no way that it's a plumber or an electrician or a handyman.
There
or
is,
Yeah.
but there is a chance there's not. There's a windowless van. It's like newer, but it's huge. That's always parked in my complex, and I don't fucking ever park near
That's
it.
an
why
FBI
would you?
van?
Sure. No,
What did you
I-
say? It's the FBI.
Hey,
van.
what are you
FBI,
about? A size
sure.
13? Okay, so after the specific threat against, many people, we still very wary of all white vans. Okay, so even after they came out with the fact that it was a blue Caprice, like the white van was like the first thing reported, and like the next day they're like, it's a blue Caprice. But remember, we're like 10 days into this, so it's not like it's been months and they're like, no, it's a blue Caprice. We're less than 2 weeks in, so people are
early.
still getting a lot of bad information with the white van. So essentially, every time someone sees a white van, they call 911. So much so that the system like comes tied up. People are trying to call 911. They've got to call 9 or 10 times to get through because so many people are fucking using it to report things about this case. So, at the height of the public fear, some school districts, such as Henrico County Public Schools and Hanover County Public Schools, completely closed. Other schools canceled outdoor activities and kept kids inside once more. Others changed after-school procedures for parents to pick up their kids at a certain time to minimize the amount of time children spent in the open. Extra police officers were placed in schools because of this fear. In addition to this, Joel Schumacher's film Phone Booth was deemed potentially upsetting,
Ooh, I like that one.
and its release was delayed for 8 months due to this attack. They thought it was like too...
I
Like,
do
nobody
remember
wants to
that,
hear
yeah.
about that
Too
right
close
now.
to home.
Yeah. So everybody was like, "Come on, I fucking love Colin Farrell." They're like, "You're gonna
Did you
have
guys
to
ever
wait."
see that movie?
Yeah, for
I
sure.
liked it. Thought it was pretty good.
Speak of Kevin Spacey, right? Wasn't he?
What? No.
I don't know. I never saw Phone
Kiefer
Booth.
Sutherland,
Kiefer.
wasn't it?
It was
I remember it was
Kiefer.
somebody who was always kind of
had a
like
cool
shady.
voice.
Yeah. Makes more sense.
You never seen it?
No.
It's pretty. I mean,
It's not like,
it
oh my
doesn't gonna blow
God,
you
but
away.
yeah.
It's a
good.
5 out of 10.
Okay.
I'll give it a 5.5.
Yeah, I was gonna
If
say
I'm
6.
ever having a 5 out of 10 day, I'll look it up.
Yeah.
So,
Interesting
okay.
enough.
The investigation was publicly headed by the Montgomery County Police Department and its chief, Charles Moose, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, the FBI and the U.S. Secret Service, the Virginia Department of Transportation, and police departments in other jurisdictions where shootings... Was this for me?
Just if there's a stab, then I'm going to use that.
So essentially, yes, the Montgomery County Police Department has it. All of those other ones I just listed, including the Virginia Department of Transportation, police departments of other jurisdictions, are all providing assistance to the investigation. So this is huge. Police responded within minutes to reports of attacks during the 3 weeks of the sniper attacks, cordoning off nearby roads and highways and inspecting all drivers, thereby grinding traffic to a halt for hours at a time whenever a shooting would take place. Police canvassed the area talking to people and collected surveillance tapes. By Friday night, October 4th, the 5 shootings on October 3rd and 2 on October 2nd were forensically linked to the same exact gun. Eyewitness accounts of the attacks were mostly confused and spotty. Hotlines set up for the investigation were flooded with tips, and the shooter attempted to engage the police in dialogue, compelling Moose to tell the media cryptic messages intended for the sniper. A telephone call from the shooters was traced to a payphone at a gasoline station in Henrico County, Virginia. On the phone call, the sniper, boasting of his cleverness, also mentioned a previous unsolved murder in Montgomery, Alabama, which was the older woman, Claudine Parker, and her 24-year-old coworker who survived the shooting. On October 17th, authorities said they matched Malvo's fingerprint found at the Benjamin Tasker Middle School site with one lifted from the liquor store scene in Alabama. After further research into Malvo's background, it was discovered that he had a close tie with John Alad Muhammad. They found that this because when you're living in the States on a whatever type of visa, you have to have essentially a sponsor, like someone you can check in with. They can say like, and his was John Alad Muhammad.
Right.
So they were able to make this connection this way.
I think The Simpsons said it best when they said, if you've ever touched a penny, or if you've ever handled a penny, the government has your DNA and your fingerprints on file.
There you go. So despite an apparent
Exactly.
lack of progress publicly, federal authorities were making significant headway in their investigation and developed leads in Washington State, Alabama, and New Jersey. They learned that Muhammad's ex-wife, who had obtained a protective order against him, lived near the Capitol Beltway in Clinton, a community in suburban Prince George's County, Maryland. Information was also developed about an automobile purchased in New Jersey by Muhammad. Police discovered that New Jersey license plate issued for Muhammad's 1990 Chevrolet Caprice had been checked by radio patrol cars several times near shooting locations in various jurisdictions in several states, but the car had not been stopped because law enforcement computers networks did not indicate that it was connected to any criminal activity, and they focused more exclusively on the white van. So what we're saying here, in case because that would have been, it took me a few seconds to think about that they start going back, looking at all the license plates that they're running during all of these shootings. Like, these are all the license plates that were in the area. We're putting them all in to see if any of these people are shady. And across several states and jurisdictions, this blue Caprice has had its license plate number punched in at almost all of them. But because they were looking for a white van, and these license plates weren't tied to any type of criminal activity. It was just like, okay, these guys are nobody, and it just went on from there. So going back and looking
That's
at it,
circumstantial evidence. Like
they're like, yeah, exactly. But if they could have seen that this car was also at this scene and this scene and
Yeah.
this scene and this scene,
Circumstantial evidence isn't enough to convict, but it's enough to begin an investigation.
Yeah.
yeah. And a lot of coincidences. What do you say, Greg?
Too many coincidences is not a coincidence.
There you go. On October 3rd, 2002, police in Washington, D.C. stopped the Caprice for a minor traffic infraction 2 hours prior to the shooting of Pascal Charlotte, after which witnesses reported seeing the Caprice near the scene. On October 8th of 2002, Baltimore Police Department investigated a dark blue Chevy Caprice with a person sleeping inside parked near the Jones Falls Expressway at 28th Street in Baltimore. The officers were concerned that the driver's license was from Washington State and the vehicle was registered in New Jersey. Although the vehicle was suspicious enough for them to investigate, and it fit the description of a vehicle associated with a shooting in Washington, D.C. 5 days earlier. The officers did not question the occupants extensively, nor did they search the vehicle. If they had, they would have found the Bushmaster rifle. Authorities were quick to issue a media alert to the public to be on the lookout for a dark blue Chevy Caprice sedan. For the public as well as law enforcement agencies throughout the region, this was a major change from the mysterious white box truck earlier sought based upon reported sightings. So, I mean, we're literally talking about this is 5 days after the initial attack. So we're kind of Tarantinoing a little bit. We're going and then we're coming back. But 5 days later, they're like, stop fucking talking about the white van. There is no white van. Everybody
white vans are everywhere.
Yeah, bolo for this fucking blue Caprice. The Chevy Caprice was also the Chevy Caprice was also later discovered to have formerly been used as a type of service vehicle. Question number 15. What type of service vehicle? Was it used by public transportation services? Was it a taxi? Was it an undercover police vehicle? Or did the last owner deliver pizzas? I delivered pizzas and my car never smelled the same.
I can see the wheels turning over there.
She's got a lead she's trying to hold on to.
Yeah.
All right, Lindsay said that they delivered pizzas. Bigfoot says that it was an undercover police vehicle. Bree said that it was a taxi. 3 different answers. Could any of you score points? Bigfoot's going to close the lead because, yes, before it was their car, it was used as an undercover police vehicle.
What are the odds?
2250 Bigfoot, 2500 for
50-50.
Lindsay.
I would say the odds are pretty good because police vehicles have like upgraded suspension, transmission, and engines, and then they run them for like 250,000 miles, and then they dump them.
Well, there you
So
go.
when you see all those people out there driving around in like
Black and
the
white.
old Crown
There's one
Vics
next
or
door.
whatever,
Crown
or
Vics.
the
Has
old
a
Yeah.
5.0.
like that, or even like some of the older Lincoln Town cars. Those
Well, I'm
things are all
always-
those
You
things
said
are all souped
5.0.
up, and those things
Rag
those
top
things will
down.
run. They're sleepers.
So
I'm
my
always
hair
wondering,
comes
I'm
out.
like, who's this fucking asshole with a spotlight on the driver's side of his mirror? Like,
A dude who bought a fucking boss ass car.
It's all
that
in
looks
police
like a
Yeah,
auction.
cop car.
technically, you're not supposed to have that on a civilian vehicle.
yeah. Oh,
But-
thank you.
I was gonna say, I feel like it should
I
be.
thought it could be on, but it couldn't be operational.
Yes, you're correct.
Okay, so yes, it was used as an undercover police car in Bordentown, New Jersey, and the crime spree came to a close at 3:15 a.m. on October 21st, 2002, when Muhammad and Malvo were found sleeping in their car, a blue 1990 Chevy Caprice, which had been dismissed earlier in the investigation, at a rest stop on Interstate 70 near Myersville, Maryland. The stolen Bushmaster .223 caliber weapon and bipod were found in a bag in Muhammad's car, and for this they were arrested on federal weapons charges. Ballistics tests later conclusively linked the seized rifle to 11 of the 14 shootings, including one in which no one was hurt. Police were tipped off by a man named Whitney Donahue, who noticed the parked car. Donahue was an electrician with a growing interest in the case. Why? Because he drove a white van and had been stopped 4 times as a possible DC sniper. So he calls, and it takes him 11 calls to get through 911. Like it's like being flooded. Essentially, he's following the case. He had heard about it and written the plate number down. So when he pulled up, he sees a blue Caprice, looks at the notepad that he had, matched it to the license plate number he had heard on the radio, and he's like, oh, fuck. So they send in like 4 SWAT teams. Like literally everybody who had a SWAT team available, they move in on these guys. Montgomery County Police Charles Moose, a few hours earlier, had relayed a cryptic message to the sniper saying, "You have indicated that you want us to do and say certain things. You have asked us to say, 'We have caught the sniper like a duck in a noose.' We understand that hearing us say this is important to you." Moose asked the media to carry the message accurately and often. This mysterious and arguable reference to a Cherokee fable has never been explained.
That's racist.
The attacks were carried out with the stolen Bushmaster XM15 semi-automatic .223 caliber rifle equipped with an EOTech holographic weapon sight, which is effective at ranges of up to 300 meters or 984 feet. This is the one found in the vehicle. The trunk of the Chevrolet Caprice was modified to serve as a rolling sniper's nest. The back seat was modified to allow a person to access the trunk, and once inside, the sniper could lie prone and take shots from a small hole near the license plate. So let me break this down for you guys. They could fold down the back seats and lay across the back seats in the trunk and put the tip of the gun out a hole they had drilled in the trunk. And they had another hole that he could see out of. And look
So
at
my
the
stab's
stick.
not a question, is what you're saying.
Yes, it's not a question.
Fuck you, Jesse.
Don't take my trademark.
So, yeah,
you're
this
willing
is
to
crazy. They have a
pay.
rolling sniper's nest. Once inside, the sniper could lie prone. Yep. Investigators and the prosecution suggested during pretrial motions that Muhammad intended to kill his second wife, Mildred, who he had felt had estranged him from his children. According to this theory and other shootings, the other shootings were intended to cover up the motive for the crime, since Muhammad believed that the police would not focus on an estranged ex-husband as a suspect if it looked like a random victim of a serial killer. While imprisoned, Malvo wrote a number of erratic diatribes about what he termed jihad against the United States. He said, "I have been accused on my mission. Allah knows I am gonna suffer now," he wrote. Because his rants and drawings featured not only such figures as Osama bin Laden and Saddam Hussein, but also characters from the film series The Matrix, these musings were dismissed as immaterial. Some investigators reportedly said that they had all but eliminated terrorist ties or political ideologies as a motive. Nonetheless, in at least one of the ensuing murder trials, a Virginia court found Muhammad guilty of killing pursuant to the direction of order of terrorism. For the trial, Chief Moose engaged in a public tour of his book, The Sniper Investigation, including appearances on Dateline NBC, The Today Show, and The Tonight Show. Assistant Prince William County Commonwealth Attorney James Willett told the Washington Post, quote, "Personally, I don't understand why someone who's been in law enforcement his whole life would potentially damage our case or compromise a jury pool by doing this." So this hasn't even gotten a case yet. And this guy's like, "I wrote a book. I was the police chief. Did you see that I wrote a book? Everybody look, I wrote this book here." And
Chief
everybody's like,
Wiggum.
"Yo, we haven't even fucking got to trial on this shit yet." You got to strike while the iron's hot, though, you guys.
And that's how you make millions.
I don't know
That's
if he
just
made-
what I was thinking.
Right? That's
Trying
how
to
you
make
make-
money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
He just wanted to tell the story, you guys.
False.
During their trials in the fall of 2003, involving two of the victims in Virginia, Muhammad and Malvo, were each guilty of murder and weapons charges. The jury in Muhammad's case recommended that he be sentenced to death, while Malvo's jury recommendation a sentence of life in prison without parole instead of the death penalty. The judges concurred in both cases. Alabama law enforcement authorities alleged that the snipers engaged in a series of previously unconnected attacks prior to October 2nd in Montgomery, Alabama. Other charges are also pending in Maryland and communities in Virginia, and they wanted Malvo to hang. In March 2005, the Supreme Court ruled in Roper versus Simmons that the Eighth Amendment prohibits